The spinning circle telling me whether or not I'm getting on live. There we are. Hi. Oh, this feels so weird. I'm here on a Tuesday instead of a Sunday. It's kind of cool though. I decided that Sunday is one of my only days off, and I wasn't that I didn't like doing these on Sunday or that they were a big imposition. It just seemed to often be a challenge because there were so much other things that I needed to take care of on a Sunday. And so I decided that Tuesdays are often a sort of flex day for me, so that this might work better. And I'm hoping that it works better for others as well, because I know several people were following on a fairly regular basis, and this is a change, so I hope that that will work for everyone, and that we can make this new day be just as good or even better than Sunday. I just have to remember when I sign off what day it is. All right. So, it's Tuesday. It's time for things that make you go, And today, we're talking about compatibility. Compatibility is an extremely important thing with relationships, and it makes everything about it feel better and feel fit. Makes a lot of go on, because it's in and out of the bedroom, in and out of public, in private, all over the place. There's lots of going on when you're compatible, and it's considered one of the top ways to top attractors and top ways of feeling sexy in your relationship is when you're compatible. So how do you determine your compatibility? It can be quite the journey to get to really understanding whether or not you're compatible with someone. Sometimes it takes quite a while, and I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of relationships end after a long period of time, is because they just realize that, oh, I thought this was good and I thought we were compatible. Now that I know the person better and we've gone through some of the journey together, I realize that they're not. Or we change with time, and that happens too, and the compatibility may fade. One way a lot of people look for compatibility is through the horoscope. It was quite funny but today when I went online and looked up signs that you are compatible, the first 2 or 3 searches on the list were horoscope related, and then there were a few articles, and then there were a bunch more horoscope related things. So if you're someone who likes to use the horoscope as a way to tell you whether or not you're compatible with someone, you are certainly not alone. Through my own experience, that hasn't always been the best use of my time or my resources, was to figure out the compatibility through horoscope, because it's all a crapshoot, right? As far as I'm concerned. Some of them have been accurate, some of them not so much. It can also be a feeling. You just meet someone and you're like, oh, you are just so wonderful, and I feel so connected to you, and that's a beautiful thing. A lot of people think it has everything to do with sex and nothing else. And then yes, that's an important part to be compatible with someone else, and it's not the only thing. So it's easy to look on the surface. So what we just mentioned, the sexual side, the attraction side. Of course, you've got to be attracted to someone in order to even consider being compatible with them. And it can be a trap as well. There are many people, I don't even want to count, that I've dated or known that I thought I wanted to be compatible with because I found them extremely attractive, and then got to know them a little and went, no. Then there's others that I thought, I hadn't met yet, because I've done a lot of online dating over the years. And, you have this great conversation online or on the phone, and then you meet and you're like, nope, this isn't working at all. I may or may not find them attractive, but then I find out that, we have nothing in common, and that the conversation doesn't flow. So don't let it blind you, and also don't force it, because either you're attracted to someone or you're not. It's all a mystery. It's all chemistry. It's all in the ether, but it is a good place to start with compatibility, is whether or not you find someone attractive. Another one is overlapping interests and the ability to have fun together. And I say overlapping interests rather than common interests. And the reason for that is because you don't have to have all the same interests. You can have some that meet and some that are divergent. I think that's a mistake a lot of people make, is they think their partner in life has to be everything to them. And so they have to have all the same interests and all the same joys and excitements in life, when actually coming apart sometimes and having different interests actually fuels the fire of the relationship, because you have a lot to share and learn from each other. So overlapping interests. And I fell into this trap quite a lot. I remember when I got married, I remember having a crying fit because my husband didn't want to come to an antique show with me. And I thought, but that's the whole reason I got married, was so that I'd have somebody to do stuff with. And eventually he felt guilty, came with me. But I mean, that's not the way to do it. That's what friends are for. A friend of mine reminded me of that the other day, that your partner doesn't have to be interested in all your stuff, because you've got friends. I hope you've got friends, family, other people in your life that you can do other things with, that often get put aside when we're in a relationship, because we expect them to be everything for us, when there are all these wonderful people around us that are also open to doing things and being together. Another kind of easy one is that you get each other's quirks and sense of humor. We all have quirks. We all have our things that are a little bit weird, or a little bit OCD, or any number of things. And if the other person gets those and accepts them, that's an amazing thing. And this person or people could be the first one you want to call with good or bad news. It's easy to call someone with the good news, but it's the person that you want to call with the bad news. You're feeling a compatibility with, because you know that they're going to be there for you and listen. And that's a huge thing. That makes me go, so much. I came up with, well, I don't know if I doubt I came up with it, but I had a thought come to me the other day about being valued and heard. And that, I feel like, is compatibility. That is the nutshell. That is what it boils down to. If people in your life make you feel valued and heard, those are the people to keep. Those are the people you're compatible with. Those are the ones that will make you go, There's nothing better, in my opinion, because I spent a lot of time feeling like I wasn't heard, than being heard. And so what are some of the deeper things that lead to those feelings of being valued, feeling valued and heard? One is being able to fight in a healthy way. That is a learning curve, as well as just a healthy relationship. Sometimes we need to learn some skills to fight healthy. And we also need to, when we are with someone who we are compatible with, we can fight in a more healthy way. Um, and sorry, I'm just responding to a message. Another way, another deeper sense of compatibility is you're able to be yourself. There's no attempt to change each other because you understand, like we just said, about your quirks and your sense of humor and the deeper parts of yourself. And so someone you're compatible with isn't going to want to change that because they understand who you are. Also knowing how to compromise. My last relationship, there was a lot of talk about compromise and what compromise is and is not. And I unfortunately felt that I compromised a lot, not just, things like what kind of furniture to buy or where to live or anything like that, but about myself and what I valued and what I needed. And that does not make me go, and that, I hope it shouldn't make anybody go, because it's not a way to live your life. If you will be compatible with someone who understands that compromise is necessary in a relationship and how to do it. There is, I looked up the definition of compromise. It's an agreement or settlement of a dispute that is reached by each side making concessions. No one wins, no one really loses, but no one gets exactly what they want. And when you're in a compatible relationship, that's fine. It makes the relationship better because you're finding ways to come together rather than be torn apart. And that's wonderful compatibility. That's an in my book. You also look out for each other, make the other person feel safe. One way that I tend to get caught up in, and that I really, really, really am working on, is tearing down the person that I care about in the company of others. I don't know what it is. Sometimes that thing that's bugging me all of a sudden pops to the surface when I'm with other people. And it's not cool. It's not looking out for the other person. It's not making them feel safe in my presence. And I definitely don't want to do that to someone that I care about. I also support their dreams, their goals, and be real and honest with the person that you're compatible with, because you know it's a safe place to do that. Being compatible with someone leads to, you need to be able to apologize and take responsibility when you do something that's not cool, like, for example, me tearing them down in public, perhaps, and learn and grow from that together. You balance each other out. Usually an introvert and an extrovert end up together. Someone who's very driven versus someone who's a little more laid back. And those are also the things that can drive us crazy about the other person. When handled well, when handled with compatibility and love, it actually makes us grow. One that I found interesting was enjoy being apart. It's crazy. We think that being compatible means you want to be together 24/7 and do everything together and always be lovey-dovey eyes with each other. But really, being apart is a very important part of the whole journey as well, because, as I said earlier, you come together after being apart with more to share, with more to contribute to the relationship. And when you actually enjoy that time as much as you enjoy the time together, that's a sign that you're compatible as well. The two big ones for me are being committed to growth and sharing core values. If you don't have those two things, it's not going to last. You're not going to be compatible at a deeper level. And you'll stop saying, eventually. And there's nothing worse than when a relationship stops being an when you don't feel sexy, when you don't feel loved, when you don't feel valued, when you don't feel heard. Keep up the ums. Find that compatibility, whether it's with a friend, a lover, many lovers, many friends, family. Find that the ways to bring those things together and set aside anything or anyone that doesn't fill those categories for you. One way to figure that out is to list what's important to you. This is my challenge for this week. Make a list of at least 20 things that you think are important in having a lover or a significant other. Then pare that down to 5. And you'll find out really quickly which ones are important and which ones can be fun to have, but not absolutely necessary. And when you're looking around for someone to be compatible with, and you find those 5 things, let out a big And if you can't find those 5 things, keep looking, because you will find it eventually. Be compatible, be loving with each other, and that'll make us all get more ums out of life. All right, so that's all I have to say on this tonight, but I would love to just remind you about my books before I sign off. First is the Bad Kitty Handbook, which is a nonfiction about claiming your sensuality. Sorry, I almost said it wrong. It's been so many years explaining to people how sensuality and sexuality are not the same thing. So it's called A Journey Toward Authentic Female Sensuality. So it's really about being authentic and owning who you are and expressing that out into the world. That's available on Amazon. And my novel, Serial Love, I have such a hard time getting it angled right. Serial Love is about a woman discovering her sexuality and who she really is through that journey. This one is also available on Amazon. You can get it in print or Kindle. And it's also available on my website, which is thebadkitty.com. Make sure you put the in there, because just badkitty.com sends you to someplace completely different, and she looks nothing like me. So thebadkitty.com, and you can get this in PDF version on the website. And if you do that, you can get the Bad Kitty Handbook and another book and a DVD as thank you for ordering off the website. Thank you again for joining me today. This will be a regular thing every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, or when the times change, Mountain Standard Time. But right now, Mountain Daylight Time. I look forward to seeing you again. Happy Tuesday. Stay sexy, everybody. Hello, everyone. It is Tuesday, and it's time for things that make you go, mmm. And today's topic is compromise or sacrifice. And this was inspired by my friend, who called me after she watched last week's, which was about compatibility, where I talked about how being able to compromise with someone is a sign of compatibility. And she asked me the question, how do you know if you're compromising or sacrificing? And we had a big conversation about it, and it got me thinking, and that would be a really good topic. So thank you to you, my dear, you know who you are, for the idea of this topic. Because compromise, although challenging, in the end is an and sacrifice is a and it does not serve at all. So let's start with the difference between compromise and sacrifice. Compromise, as we talked about last week, is an agreement or a settlement of a dispute that is reached by each side making concessions. So it's not quite a win-win, but it's not a lose-lose, and it's not a win-lose. It is a slightly less of a win and slightly less of a win. Sacrifice, on the other hand, is an act of giving something valued for the sake of something else regarded as more important or worthy. And when I read that definition, I was like, holy. And most of us, I'm sure, have sacrificed at some point or another and thought we were doing a good thing. For whatever reason, whatever misguided reason. And then when I read that, giving up something valued for the sake of something regarded more important or worthy, I thought, oh my goodness, that is not a healthy thing. That is something that rips you down, tears you apart, and makes you less of who you are. And I am all about being who you are. So sacrifice is not part of the equation. Whereas compromise, you're not reducing who you are. You're just making allowances for the needs of someone else. It's really hard to cross that line, knowing which one is which sometimes. The way in a nutshell, compromise in the end nurtures, whereas sacrifice undermines. Because one person becomes less and less and less and less over time. And that does not serve you as a person or the relationship either. So let's just say compromise, good. Sacrifice, not so great. And there's 3 keys, I think, to knowing how to compromise or when to compromise. First one is you never ever give up your values. We've talked about values before. And I mentioned that my top 2 are integrity and authenticity. So if someone comes along and in order to make them happy and to compromise, I am actually sacrificing one of those core values, that is not compromise. That is giving way too much. So for example, if someone wants me to lie or be otherwise out of my integrity, then I'm sacrificing part of who I am. And that is not compromise. Or if I'm not allowed to be who I am, I'm sacrificing my authenticity, and that's not cool either. So knowing your core values are really important, because if you need to minimize them, limit them, go against them, then you're sacrificing, and that is not the direction you want to go. The second one is, do you come out feeling valued and heard? We talked about being valued and heard last week, and that has become kind of my catchphrase, my way of looking at life since that phrase came into my brain. Because if you're not feeling valued and heard, then you're not compromising. You're not the person that you are in negotiations with is not respecting you. So then you're sacrificing. And that is not that does not make me go and I'm sure it doesn't do it for you either. And if it's really important to one but not to the other person that you're in negotiation with, then be generous. You don't have to fight about every little battle. My friend who gave me the idea for this topic was talking about how someone who she spends a lot of time with is very, OCD, to be perfectly clear, about the toothpaste. So he needs to have it rolled up in a certain way and nothing else will do. And to her, it's not a big deal. She doesn't really care as long as you don't squeeze it from the middle, so it's not a big deal for her to let him have it his way. Whereas one of her very important things is animals. So if he is disrespecting animals, or like if he pretends to run over a rabbit in the road or something like that, that is really difficult for her, and that is him not respecting what her values are and what is important to her. So basically, very simply, if there's a matter of degree, so if something is extremely important to one person and not so much to the other person, it's not really sacrificing to say, okay, let's do it your way. It's not really a big deal to me. Let's just leave it at that. So some statements or questions that you can use when you're in negotiations with someone and compromise is required are, let's find a way to split the difference or meet in the middle. And that is the definition of compromise. 1 second. The cat came in and opened the door. You can hear the chainsaw outside. So let's find a way to split the difference or meet in the middle. That's the definition of compromise. Finding a way to make both parties happy with tiny little adjustments on either side. This one is my favorite. If you're doing it, you get to do it your way. If I'm doing it, I do it my way. And so, for example, if you're driving somewhere and you like to go one way, but the person who's driving likes to go a different way, it's not the end of the world if you let them go the way they like to go. So just let them do it. And then when you drive, you get to go your way. Or if one person is doing the dishes and the other person is like, God, I hate it when you do it that way. They're doing it. Just let them do it. And it makes life so much more harmonious, and it's really no skin off your nose if they do the pots before the plastics, although that would drive me crazy. But that is a great way to just keep things on an even keel, because if it's not really that critical to life and to your values, just breathe and let it go. And another statement or way to negotiate is to say, if you do this, I'll do that. So if you really need someone to do the dishes, and because you really hate them, and say they hate vacuuming, so you do the dishes, I'll vacuum. You set up the tent, I'll gather the firewood. Whatever it happens to be, find a way for both of you to do something that makes it work for the other person. And one more is part of what I get, part of what I want, and you get part of what you want. So that's kind of going back to, let's find a way to split the difference and meet in the middle. Seems pretty basic, but it can be really tough. And I think one of the secrets of getting into compromise is don't do it when you're mad. Because then you just want your way. It's like, I don't care, just duh. It's my way or the highway. And if you do it when both people are calm, then you make a lot more headway. What it really boils down to is, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? That can be a really tough comment sometimes, but it's also really valuable, because we get so wrapped up in, I can't give in, because then I'm going to get walked all over. I'm going to be a doormat. But really, is that really the case? And if you're with someone who's going to make that happen or make you feel that way, something's wrong. So realize that compromise makes a relationship work. And keep saying to yourself, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? And if it's not something that goes against your core values, if it's not something that's super important to you, if it's something that can be done many different ways, just let it be. One second. My door does not want to stay closed today. I got a quote for you. It's from my calendar, my badass calendar. And it says, you can't see the silver lining through victim goggles. That's, first, that doesn't seem like it may not seem like it matches the topic. Think about it. Sometimes it feels like if I compromise, if I give in, I'm going to be a victim. I'm going to be a doormat. And really, the compromise is the silver lining. It's the way to make your relationship work. It's the way to get to the It's the way to live in harmony with other people. And we get so wrapped up in being right and getting our way and getting our message across that sometimes we go too far. That we get wrapped up in the minutia of life when it's really all about finding ways to be together and finding ways that we are alike rather than different, and really making the love, the joy, the harmony come together. So, do I compromise or sacrifice, or on the other hand, be the bully and always get your way? Find a way to compromise. Find a way to stand up for your values and what you need, while at the same time being willing to give where you can and where you are able, where you aren't sacrificing something very, very important to you. A little bit of homework for you. If you don't know what your values are, what your core values are, there's lots of quizzes online. Just look up core values test, core values quiz, and you'll find lots to choose from. And I'd also like you to just take a hard look at your patterns. Are you a compromiser or a sacrificer, or, this just came to me, a bully? And how would you rather be in your relationships? Will it work better for you to be a good compromiser, to be the light and the willing participant in making something work, rather than always being at odds? Okay, sorry, lost my train of thought there for a second. So that's it for today. As you know, if you've been listening before, I do have a couple of books. My novel is called Serial Love, and it is an erotic novel. It is a thriller, and it's, I'm told, a really easy and fun and hot read. So if you'd like to pick it up, I hope you'll go to Amazon. You can get it on Kindle or paperback. And what I love about this book is the cover. It is so soft. It feels like butter. So it's a really super sexy book, just in the cover. And you can also get it on my website, which is thebadkitty.com, THEBADKITTY, kitty, thebadkitty.com. Make sure you put the in there. And on the website, you can get it in PDF format. And if you get it on the website, you actually get 3 gifts along with it. And they are the Achieve Your Ultimate Success DVD, which I'm featured on, the Living Proof, celebrating the gifts that came wrapped in sandpaper book that was put out by Lisa Nichols of The Secret, if you're familiar with her. I have a short story in there. And the Bad Kitty Handbook, which is my nonfiction book, Journey Toward Authentic Female Sensuality. And a lot of my core values, core beliefs, uh, my sorry, I completely cannot remember the word that I want to use. Oh my god. Every once in a while people say you should be on radio. I'm like, I have so much trouble keeping 20 minutes of conversation going up, let alone a whole few hours. Anyway, sorry. That's just my own little side thought. Uh, anyway, Bad Kitty Handbook. It is tells you all about how to be more authentic in your life, and this one is available as well on Amazon on its own, in either Kindle or paperback. And I hope you'll take some time, take a look at those, and pick up whatever you enjoy. Please do your homework, do your values test, and do some soul searching about compromise, sacrifice, or bullying. And I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, whether you join me live or joining me later. I really, really love that you took the time to be with me tonight. Happy Tuesday, and stay sexy, everybody.